Welcome, welcome, welcome. Okay. So we're here. You guys know why we're here. We are at the reunion part one. I don't know why I thought I heard that it was going to be only one part, but it's in two parts, I guess.
It's in two parts.
But I feel like, I don't know. You'll tell me what you think. But I feel like they stretched that out. Like we'll see what happens in part two. Maybe there's more in part two, but I feel like, but then again, the cast hasn't had at that point hadn't seen any of the show, so they did have to go.
Yeah, so that's what we have to keep in mind, because even when we talk about relationships, like those things are still earlier on, because that's not now. So I'm curious to know about a couple things. Anyway, welcome back, everyone. Listen, I have a lot to say. I feel like, well, I have a lot to ask, I think. They started with Kat, which I thought was interesting, because now, before I even go into that, I think it's interesting the timing with which they filmed this reunion. So it's right after they filmed, or very soon after they filmed.
And it was like 6 weeks. I think I heard Janelle did an IG live last night, and on there she said that they wrapped filming, I guess, at the end of May, at the end of April, and then they filmed at the beginning of June, something like that. So whatever she said, it computed to like a month and a half in my mind, like maybe like between 4 and 6 weeks. So that's what we're looking at for that.
Okay, that's interesting. I'm glad to know that. I really tried to hang on and watch that live, but I was struggling because I've just been at work really nonstop doing this big project that is going great. That's almost done. Anyway, I'm excited.
Yeah, you didn't miss anything. I mean, it was long too. It was long. So
I was putting in work and it turned out great. Oh man, it turned out great. I sent you a link. You need to look at that link. But anyway, I feel like I'm glad to have that timeline, because here's what I think that's odd about this. It feels like not only do they not get the chance to see the footage except for when they're sitting there with everybody else, but it's like they don't even get to react to some of the things that are then said about them until they go into these interviews with people like Crystal XO and, Kamisha, because it was a lot that I wish they would have known before they did the reunion, so they could address it. And okay, we're gonna go through this. So
but let me cut in right quick. Yeah, so a lot of people do say that they should film a reunion after they've had a chance to watch the episode. Yeah. Now, whether that's them watching it before the show airs or whatever, it's fine. But they don't even show them full episodes at their reunion. They're looking at clips. You know what I mean? So, hey, Gwendolyn. So,
Gwendolyn, thank you.
It's really unfair because, if they did it after they saw everything, the commentary would be different from them. Like they would have different things to say. So,
and I wonder now, when that decision was made, did someone review that footage and then decide, oh, we can't show them this, and then put them in a room together? Or did they already have the scheduling of the reunion already in place and they were going to go with it regardless? Because I wonder, because I mean, we did have a pull up this season, like not on camera. Hey, Ellen! Oh, it's so good to see you. Listen, they did have a pull up at the beginning of the season that wasn't even aired, where Janelle went, I guess, to Kat's apartment building, and that to me means, it doesn't mean this, but it would be supported by the possibility that they reviewed this footage and were like, we can't show them this and then put them together unless we want to go Love and Hip Hop with this thing. Because at times they were giving me something that Owen doesn't do. It was like, what are you doing, Owen?
Well, they've been getting closer and closer to this throughout the past different seasons, right? Like, it's like something will happen, then this thing will happen this season, and then so it's kind of been a build up to something like that.
I just feel like OWN is, listen, I'm not talking about the entire platform, like the entire network, but it's like things like this that make you have to wonder, and it's like, are you trying to go that route? Because it's just not, I don't know.
I mean, yeah, and if you think about the other outside elements that go into that, right? Like giving them drinks, access to drinks, but not food, right? Having them there for a long time, just drinking and stuff like that. Or like putting them in on those group dates or in certain situations. Because, you know, one of my complaints with the show is that they don't get to date their connections, which is a moot point to me, because if you have people, you have a show that you're trying to see what connections come out of it, what are you getting by not putting the people on the dates with the people that say they're connected to? That's just counterproductive. So they are probably looking for those kind of ratings, because otherwise they wouldn't be doing the other things too.
I guess they're trying to compete. Okay, but let me just recap this. So
Kat, they need to be competing with those shows that know how to pick the people that actually match.
Hello, like I know what you're talking about, like the shows on Netflix with that one with Nick Lachey.
Oh, The Ultimatum. Yeah, like how do you pick a handful of people and know that they're going to click with somebody else? Now, oftentimes maybe one couple doesn't connect, but like still the rate of people connecting is higher than like something like this. But that's not their focus, clearly.
So look, and here's what's interesting. It's like they need to check their sort of like dress code as far as own network. Like they need to figure out which lane they're trying to be in. You know what I'm saying?
Why? What makes you say that?
Because this was okay, and I understand that another possibility was, to me, Love is Blind. Another possibility to me was that perhaps they had to concoct some storylines that weren't really there, and they didn't want to be confronted by people. Like, I'm talking about production now, like the producers, like got the footage. This is highly possible, guys. Again, I'm making this up, so please, there's no accusations being made. But it's possible that they reviewed the footage and were like, this is boring. We got to make something up. And then they created all these storylines, and now people are confused. That's another possibility as to why.
So they could be over there. The producers could be over there thinking, "Listen, there's nothing. We help you guys out."
Right? Listen, you're on. Listen, that's real. You're on TV.
I didn't consider that possibility.
People are watching you. You are in a hot show because I jazzed this up a little bit, put some seasoning on it. So those, they could be saying stuff like that because they were, I'm not gonna lie, the show was a little parched at times, and it was like we're having to. Then we're looking at these interviews, and it's like, well, that's totally not what I saw. You know what I mean? So it's like, what are they doing back there? Where's my food? You know what I mean? It's like these people are acting all weird. They're bizarre. They're being bizarre. Okay, anyway. So Kat came on and she said, we just getting started actually. Kat came on and said that she did not like being a curveball. She felt like she was late to the party. And what really wrenched my heart is when they show the unseen footage of Morier sort of like giving her the rejection conversation. Like, I really hope we could be friends, but I'm picking this other lady. And she was like, I was in the ER with my dog. And while I completely believe that's possible, you're also being dumped. And so it's okay if you're crying, right? But I don't know if they really had a connection like that, or she just, I don't know. Because him and Jessica got together, and then they show Herbert and Kat. One thing I gotta say about Phil, he was very well dressed through the season. As they were playing the clip, I was like, "Oh, that's nice." He had like a turtleneck at one point, and then he'd be having like some nice blazers. And I feel like whoever taught him how to dress did a good job. I feel like he knew what he was doing. He put on his best. He knows how to style himself. So I
agree with that. He was. I was thinking that while I was watching the show this season. Like, okay, Phil. All right.
Phil's got some skills with the threads. But Herbert and Kat. So Kat didn't like being a curveball. What do you think about that? He was like,
I agree with that because I don't know how far into the process she came. We only see what episode she came in on, right? But it could have been different if she would have started from the beginning. Like, I was listening to Janelle's IG last night. She said a lot of stuff on there And one of the things she did point out was that somebody asked her who did she think the curveball should have been or something like that. And so she like, I think she threw Kira's name out there and somebody else's name. But I was like, what if they did switch that, right? Like, what if they did switch and like Kira be the curveball? I didn't like Kat as a curveball. Like I liked how she came in, but I feel like she started behind. I don't know. It's kind of different from men and women. Like they were already kind of not locking in, but they were bonding. You know what I mean? So I don't know. It could have been different if she came in as a curveball. It could have been.
Yeah.
But again, who was her match?
No one, but she was very friendly with everybody, which I get, but I couldn't see her with anybody. And like honestly, as much as people want to listen, if you are taller than your mate and you're a woman and he's a male, it's it's a little weird. And I do feel like because she came on and there were so many average height men and she's tall, she's not that tall, but she's tall. Like I feel like she would have probably, I don't know. She may have done better starting first, or she may have done better with some taller guys.
Okay. Look, that sounds ridiculous because you cannot listen. Okay, I know you didn't put a number on the height, right? But the majority of people that are tall, like Earl's height, that's slim. Like it's not a lot of those people. Everybody wants a person over 6 feet, right? But a lot of people aren't over 6 feet. A lot of men aren't over 6 feet, right? But I think that it's a lot of relationships that work where the woman is taller than the man. Now that my preference is not for it to be like that, but then again, if I was one of the taller women, maybe I wouldn't think like that because I would have already, gotten over it. But I don't know.
My thing is this, like that's one of those things that sounds vain to say, but everybody knows I'm right. And the thing is, like, a taller woman is going to be, I think, more attracted to, like, she's going to be, more people are going to be attracted to her in a setting where there's a bunch of tall men. And it's like, it's 2023, we have the internet, we have dating shows. Why don't they just put taller men than tall women on a show?
Just because the person is tall does not mean that they're good.
I understand.
Like, they can be a total asshole.
I feel like
so, I know, because I feel like even though my preference
is not judging anybody.
Even though my preference is not to see the top of the person's head that I'm dating, right? Like I'm not shirking at the fact that it could be a nice person in there, but I haven't gotten to the point where I've gotten over that. I can be honest about that. But like a person who is taller than me, like a woman who's taller than me, will probably have had to work through that before now because they don't have a choice.
True, the majority of their encounters
does not dictate the personality.
I understand that, and I wasn't trying to go there. I wasn't trying to say that, but I do think it would be interesting to see, especially because she came in after some of the other women, and I feel like even though it's meant to be like spicy or whatever, and like, look, we saw Sydney. We've seen a lot of the.
Some people have come in as a curveball and done well,
and come by and take Storm. Oh, Cynthia. I felt like when Cynthia came as a curveball last season, I thought that was dope. Was that last season? I don't even remember. I don't know.
I think it was the season before last, I think.
But I feel like that, this was, listen, I'm just saying, it might be a great, show idea to just put some tall women with some tall men and see what happens and see if everybody isn't like, I don't know. Anyway.
That's what I'm saying. Like, okay.
I'm not saying that it shouldn't happen.
What if they had, okay, so they are filling character roles. What if they had these people, right? We got these two dudes. We want them to fill this role. Like, what if they wanted a Marvin, but they wanted a Marvin that was 6 feet? But Marvin wasn't 6 feet. The one that was similar to Marvin that was 6 feet didn't have enough interest. They weren't looking for a relationship. So, like, you can't even, like, the height.
I can people and create their characteristics. I get it.
That's what I'm saying, which is why I can see that the height thing is kind of, you can't help that. So, but Gwendolyn says, I think they review the footage and decide we need more. I don't know what they're doing. Miss Gingy says, might be that Philip dresses well because he's a lot more financially secure than Aries thought. There's a thought. I mean, but
it's possible. It's very possible. Because sometimes sometimes people don't. Oh, I know what she was about to say. Oh,
I'm not trying not to jump ahead.
We're gonna get to that. Listen, it's possible though, because sometimes people who, okay, it's possible. Sometimes people who put things out there about themselves purposefully keep some things back so they can judge and get a good judge character of who's around them. But it's also possible that and very likely that he just appreciates a lifestyle that doesn't require a lot of money. Like, I'm not saying he's a vagabond or something, but like, it's possible because like we all have gotten caught up in this mentality of like what $1 billion is and how we want to be very rich. Like, you can run into somebody and they don't want to be, a multimillionaire. Like, most people do aspire to do that, but it's like some people are like, you know what, I'm good with this amount and that's going to leave me a happy life and I don't need to be doing all this stuff to enjoy my life. Like, I just want to do what I like to do, pursue my interests, and this is enough money to live the lifestyle that I desire. And so either you're going to be good with that or you're going to go off with somebody else and, they'll, do what you got to do. So I think that's probably what he's doing. I think he's like, I'm happy. I got enough to make myself happy. I got enough to provide for my kids. And I don't need to be fitting into your box so that you can feel comfortable that nothing's ever bad going to happen because I'm making so much money. Because I feel like that's a false level of safety too sometimes that people have. And I said that on the recap of when Rashid,
right, like something can happen tomorrow.
Bill Gates had all that money, all that security, and then he got sick, and it's like you can't pay your way out of that. That's not all life is about. Like, yeah, you need socks and a coat, but it's like beyond the bare necessities, we do kind of inflate as a people like the importance of financial security, because really it doesn't necessarily exist. You can have an amount of money and then have a problem that grows to be more than that amount of money, like a lawsuit or some liquidation of something that you were counting as an asset. It's not all that weird that people get a bunch of money and they lose it, because money isn't real. So we can decide, or people can decide what has value and then what doesn't. And in 2 days, you can lose something that you thought you had. It actually doesn't exist. So I do agree with Phil in some ways. Okay, sorry.
Well, let me piggyback on that and say, or chime in or whatever, and say that, the financial part is a thing. Like, I do need to know, like, kind of where you stand or whatever. But in getting that information, however it is we're communicating, it's possible for you to put up red flags in the way that you even respond, because if you're dancing around my questions, that says something to me other than financial security. It just tells me how, like, you can't be truthful, and I can't, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. So that is a can of worms, because it could be a lot of things or whatever. It doesn't just have to be like, oh, he didn't make this amount of money. It just could be a thought about how he processed something by the way he answered it. I don't know, but you're right. I mean, you can't predict what's going to happen in the future, but if she's like where she is right now, she's about to step into a relationship. I feel like that is a lot to she needs to know if he's going to be able to hang. Like she said, she's already doing some of the other stuff with her friends. So it's like, what are you going to do with me? You know what I mean? And so I don't know, that at that point, like he said, he felt like it was falling off the rails. We could see it. Like, she was already like, no. So, but anyway, go ahead.
Okay, so here we are. Kat. Okay, let me go back to Kat real quick. Kat was talking to Q about how he wasn't open and he felt like she wasn't being talked to. This goes into her idea of like coming in later as a curveball is not ideal. Janelle's eye rolls though were serious. Like, she's a professional eye roller. Like, I'm sure somewhere in some country I've never been to, in like India or you know what I'm saying, somewhere across the world, somebody's having an eye rolling contest and she could be a champion. But anyway,
I don't even know. I gotta figure out a word for her. Come on. So I gotta figure out a word. Sorry, my dog's being.
Oh, it's okay. No, it's okay. So I'll say
No,
this.
I gotta figure out a word for Janelle because she's something. You know what I'm saying?
Something else.
And she enjoys being something. You know what I'm saying? That's all I say. I'll figure out the word, and when I do, I'll let you know.
Man, I have some things to say, but I don't know. They might be surprising, whatever. Anyway, so now let's get into Red. Let's get into Red. Yes. Red calls himself in the show, calls himself the king of the city. And he also talked about how somebody brings something up, like calling somebody having a thought job. He's gonna pour gasoline on it. He's not gonna let it go. What do you think about that?
Listen, he is personally tied to that. It's something. There's still some tension there, okay? And Unique kind of filled in the blank about how, okay, I heard something outside of the show about how he is as a father, like, and then they wouldn't really let her go on and elaborate or whatever, but he feels something personal about her, so he's not gonna let it go. But okay, so I'll just, two things. I'm gonna mix Janelle in here. Janelle is funny as shit as far as her attitude, and I don't mean like haha funny. Yeah, she has some comical, but it's just like you just be watching and be like, this chick, you know what I'm saying? Listen. So, but what I do want to say is she does have a bunch of business ventures, and I did see her. She has these Mean Girl sweatshirts, and I'm not a mean girl, but I would buy one of those sweatshirts.
They're probably really cute.
So I might go ahead and cop one of those just because, support a Black business. I like it. And I will say, Red shouted out his website. And, we like to support people around here.
Oh, yeah.
But that's what I'm saying about the whole cast. Like, yeah, we're going to talk about the show throughout the season because it's on TV and we, bloggers give commentary. But if you have something that you want to promote, that's the time to do it. Let it shine. You know what I mean? I did a video with Jessica's Coffee Company that's in Target. You can get it, I think, on Walmart.com too. And I think it's in HEB, but we don't have HEB around here. But Unique is doing some good production stuff. But I did go ahead and get my Thought Job shirt, okay? I did. You know what I'm saying? I will say that it is pretty comfortable as a
That is cute.
I like it. So anyway, so I think I am going to get a Mean Girls sweatshirt, even though Janelle is just something else. I'll figure out a word for her. But listen, that's what I'm saying. Like, if it doesn't matter, like what they say on TV, we only know a little bit about what they're showing us. But there's a person, you know what I'm saying? So my whole point is, all right, I'm gonna get off my soapbox.
No, that was so good.
But I am gonna figure out a word about Janelle because she just makes me shake my head. Okay. Listen, anyway, I didn't mean to hijack your comment.
It's all good because on that note, I did look up Janelle's makeup line, and she also does like a home business, like a home decoration or something, and she sold in some stores. I looked it up, and she's got some good stuff. I think she even designed jewelry.
She designs jewelry, and she did a mug for HBO. She's designing one for HBO. A bunch of things. So you know what I mean? But her attitude will deter some people.
We gotta talk about that.
Some people it won't. But anyway, shout out to Aries. Hi, Aries.
Aries.
Aries says she's always known what Phil does for a living. It was the audience that was confused. Her issue was not about his finances. See, so that's a common example of how what we're seeing on TV is how they put it together. You know what I mean? So that's why I was like, when they brought up that whole comedy thing, I was like, I didn't hear him say that he was currently doing comedy. Like, I feel like that was a part of a story. You know what I mean? So, anyway.
He did jump out there a little bit when he talked about he's the king of the city. I mean,
I'm sorry, you're talking about Red now. Okay.
Yeah, I'm talking about Red. Oh, I'm so sorry. Who were you talking about? My bad.
I was responding to Aries' comment.
Oh, right. About Phil. Right. I'm so sorry. Yeah. Didn't someone say that Janelle is a thug? Yes, that was Herbert. He said she's a whole thug.
And Herbert likes thugs, okay?
Yeah. So editing was trash. That's what I had imagined. Yes. Because there were so many things that just didn't make sense. It's like you're piecing together a story. I mean, just tell the real story and it'll make sense.
But that's too much right. Like, I would like to see what really happened because that's kind of more realistic. You know what I mean? But Aries, your braids were cute on the reunion too.
Oh, they were. Look, here's another thing I thought was interesting. So Red then reveals that he had reached out to some of the ladies after the fact. I don't know if you caught Q's reaction. He looked surprised. So Red was like, yeah, I've reached out to, Kira, Janelle. I think he said I don't know who else, Kira, Janelle, and maybe Tequila. But
I know I heard Kira and Janelle.
So he was like, yeah, he wouldn't call it pursuing them, but he kept in touch. But I thought Q's reaction was interesting because he like tilted his head back, like, what? Like he didn't know about that.
Okay, so I watched the not interview, but the IG last night. Quentin admitted that he's a great actor. Now, the reason why he said it was because the part where they told him that Lee had removed herself from the competition, he looked so shocked to me. He fooled the fuck out of me. Okay.
He already knows.
I'm not buying his reaction to that. No, thank you. So I don't know.
She said, Ellen said, she said, oh my God.
Y'all, Red probably funny as I don't know what.
Okay? Red needs to go away and stay there. He needs to stay away.
Real quick, I forgot to say something else about Aries. So if you guys don't know, Aries also has a podcast and she is on YouTube, and it is Aries space WW. And her podcast actually is called Bold Black Girls. So you guys have to go over there, subscribe to her. She was on Ready to Love and she is great. So anyway, continue, Faith.
Yes, I was trying to see if I could pull it up and put it on there, but I'll do that in a second. Then we go on to talk about how Jessica. I don't know why I didn't pick this up, but I do remember seeing some of this stuff where she was talking about how she wants children, and I actually felt like her and Moria's connection. Oh, Bold Black Girls, got it. I actually felt like Jessica and Moria's connection. I didn't see it at first, and then it felt like it came out of nowhere, right? Not gonna lie. It felt like it came out of nowhere. And then Red was in the background when they were out there. I thought it was odd that they were out there together, just like with no one else, but I guess they're doing that to couples because I think Janelle and Quentin was out there together as well.
Yeah, but then they bring other people out depending on what they're going to talk about.
I felt like that was new because I wasn't used to seeing that many open seats. So I feel like that hasn't been done.
They've only been doing that for a few seasons because maybe even a couple of seasons, because I feel like it's some cast that's from the past that says they didn't have that option of being in a separate room or whatever. So
yeah, because people can just make comments and say all type of crazy stuff, and then you have to react to that. Okay, we're gonna get to that.
So look, okay, so Aries said that her page is Bold Black Girls, and they'll start back recording again after this foolery. And your co-host is your sister that was on for your family day, right? Am I correct about that? But here, I'm gonna leave this up here for a while so y'all can go subscribe.
Yes, this is so cute. So look, Red was not, he wasn't saying he was pursuing them, but he was on it. Now Jessica wants children. Okay, that's already went over that. I felt like Moria and Jessica's relationship was questionable. I do feel like they're telling the truth. Like, I don't think they're lying. Why would they lie? You know what I'm saying? But I didn't feel it. And you're not supposed to feel everything. They're dating now, or when we saw the reunion, as at that point, they were still like dating each other, right? They didn't talk about dating other people. But I mean, just because you don't feel the heat between a couple doesn't mean that they're not.
I don't know.
Compatible, right? So I felt like it was weird to see all the people back there. Well, they were there though. But it was weird to see all the people back there saying that like it wasn't real. Red made a comment, something to the effect of, if they didn't kiss, then it's not real, or something like that. I'm paraphrasing. But it's like, well, you didn't make a connection here like that. Like, you're not sitting out there with anybody. Not to say there's anything wrong with that, but it's just like, just let them do their thing. That's how I felt. I was just like, we don't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and also, like I said, we don't really even know what happened. We're just watching whatever the story is that the network is trying to put here. So the reason why it doesn't make sense is because it's not everything that happened. They're making it, however they want to make it. Because I go back to my point of what they should change about this show is that let people go out with the connections that they have. Like, stop. Yeah. Like, what is that all about? You know what I mean? You're trying to get connections, then let them go out with their connections. All the other stuff is for the drama that they can manipulate. Now, I will admit, as a viewer, I love watching, reality TV, and I'm here for the mess, right? But I do realize that sometimes like, come on, like, you know what I mean? And so I don't know. I just think they need to let people go out with their connections.
I agree with that. I agree with that wholeheartedly. Like, why would you be doctoring up dates or showing dates that were doctored up when you could show the real connections? I even
If
thought
you
that
weren't trying to get drama.
Yeah, I even felt that was a few seasons back where I wanted to see Dakia and Clifton's connection because that was something that but I did understand and was rooting for him and Joy. But I know that wasn't a made up thing. They went out, they had oysters, and I do feel like that there was some behind the scenes stuff that we could have gotten to know more about her. So I thought that was interesting. So they are crafting a story like that much.
So I'm not saying that they're like having the people act or anything. But if you're sitting there on a regular date, you don't have anybody come in and be like, talk about this some more or say that again. You know what I mean? Because that creates like a madness in a person being a cast member, because I could see them sitting at home watching it, knowing what happened, knowing how many times they had to do a take or whatever, just for everybody to look at it and be like, "Oh, nah, bitch, you lying like shit."
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like I saw it on TV, but it happened, but that's not how it happened. But
you guys
sit really there if you think about it, it really is. But I digress.
That show is crazy though, because when I think about it, it's like they can put together whatever they have the footage and they can manipulate it however they want. They can this is gonna sound so weird, but there was this commercial back in the 80s that was the Pepsi guy, and he was like stuttering or whatever, like Pepsi is good. And sometimes I felt like that. Like in theory with this, because I felt like they chopped and screwed this in a way that it was like, that doesn't even make any sense. Like, why would somebody say that? And then like, what would make somebody have this connection? Like, what happened to the lost footage of Lee and Quentin? I never saw that connection happening, even though they talked about it. It was like the phantom of dating. And then there was a couple of other ones, like Herbert was a big one for me. Like, I didn't see none of his dates with Sierra. I didn't see really. I only saw one of his, or maybe two of his.
I mean, he might not have had any, according to how other people are talking about their own experiences. Like, I gotta think that it happened to more than one person. Like, that they weren't setting people up on their connections. You know what I mean? And then I want to say it was Red. Red said that he only had one solo date, or he had a bunch of group dates, which I don't like all the group dates. Like, it's cool to have them together, but like, how will you get to know somebody if you're always in a group date and it's constant switching partners, switching tables and stuff like that? But the point is, they're not even setting people up with their connections. That's why we didn't see those dates, because they're not setting those dates up. If they are, they're keeping them. If they are, they're keeping them, and they're not putting them out and to the in the show,
which is so unfortunate, because these people all the time are having these background conversations and they're not supposed to be meeting up.
And he said it's really bad.
Oh, she's supposed to be talking about like editing and stuff like that. That's what I'm thinking. I don't know. I won't put words in anybody's mouth, but they're also having conversations. Now, I don't think they're supposed to be meeting up unless the production team is there. But they're having phone conversations, and FaceTimes and stuff like that can be very comfortable to the point where you can really get to know somebody. So, not that we need to see those, but it's like, it's interesting that they left out a bunch of people who actually were making connections on the phone, or that I'm sure they had to be requesting people. And it's just like, no, sit down. We got somebody for you. Some of that stuff wasn't comfortable. Like when Phil was talking to Tequila, I knew that wasn't a matchup. Okay, so let's move on, because I got to talk about this. Now, before we get to that,
Phil and Aries didn't get their first solo date for 2.5 weeks.
And I remember, and I don't know if this is on the sequence, but I remember when they were at the hoedown, they were really excited to talk to each other, like, oh, I've been waiting for this. And that wasn't even really a date. It was like a gathering where it's like, now I get to have interaction with you. So I wonder how many times they may have not even gotten the opportunity to talk to each other. Like she's saying, it took 2.5 weeks before their solo date. If they knew they had a connection, I mean, they probably were, going on other dates. And I do remember like people are going out with Tequila, and Tequila had a lot going on. All right, look, let me just start with Shaba. Listen, I
Just
have
talk
no
about Habibi,
respect.
guys.
I have no respect because he's okay. Listen, I'm gonna go on a short Kanye rant, and then we're gonna be good. We're gonna get back on track. I have no respect for Shaba because he's pretending to be a whole person. He's this buffoonery and whatever they call his shenanigans. It's like he is pretending. He's got a whole persona built, and he's got this scarf on. It's like, dude, get out of here. You're not real. Like, this is not cool. You're just playing in everybody's face. And it's like, we see you, like, go have several seats. We don't want to talk about this. But he has all of these, like, one-liners that don't match each other. He sounds like a whole clown when he's talking because maybe he has okay, so let me just give this disclaimer. Maybe he has trouble communicating clearly because I do know people who struggle with that, but he tries to pass it off as if he's only joking and it shouldn't offend anybody except him, only it does. Like profoundly, like, how'd you just so happen to do that? You did it on purpose, and it's not cute, and we're beyond that, and it's very immature. And he puts these things together that don't make sense. It's like he's trying to horoscope his way through a conversation. Oh, you know what I mean? It's like, please, we're above that. So I completely got irritated by him.
Yeah, he wouldn't take accountability. That kind of disappointed me too, because it's like you did have time to go home and think about it, and he kind of, you know, he did apologize though. So, but you know, it just wasn't like they wanted to hear it. And then, but when he stood up and randomly played his saxophone, I just thought that was weird and random. Like, I thought that they were gonna let him play, like, actually to the audience or whatever. But then I was like, it's been a couple of musicians on here in the past, and nobody's ever brought that instrument. But I appreciated the notes that he blew.
Hold up, do you remember?
I was just like, one baby.
Remember that one clip from Real World, like several seasons ago? I think they were in Philly, and I think the guy's name was David, and he was like scatting on the thing. Like, everybody was like, "Hi, I'm Julie. I'm from San Francisco, right? I'm 23. Hi, I'm Bob. I'm from Idaho. I'm 30." And then it was this guy David, and he was like, "Shooba dooba 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 doo day." You remember him? I mean, he came on Dave Chappelle and everything. I'm gonna find his name. Like, this guy, it was like, that's not an intro. It's like,
you be remembering people that I just be like,
you talk about him so hard. I'm gonna tell you who he is as soon as I Google him. But you used to tell me, like, you used to talk about him so hard because he did this. It was like the intro to Real World, and everybody's saying the same line with their name and age and wherever they're from. And this guy comes on and he's like scatting jazz. But
I got not even find me that clip.
Oh my gosh! Wait until I find it.
Miss Gingy says that was not an apology. I'm sorry if you took what I said the wrong way. It's not apologizing.
It's not.
So I don't think it is, but I felt like I heard him say that he apologized for the maleficent. Or the malefic words that came out of his mouth. So, like, malefic means, like, you know, like causing that can cause harm or destruction, but especially in the superpower realm. So he did say he apologized, but then that just kind of made me think that he was just like, with everything else that they showed him saying. But then I was also thinking, because I'm jaded by Ready to Love, was that the succession that the conversation went in? Or are y'all, oh, sorry, I can't even get it out.
She got it.
Or are you all trying to make him further look like this person who can't effectively communicate with women? I don't know.
Listen, let me pick up on that. If that was the case, I mean, that would just be a poor use of time. But it's like, if that was the case, how did you find yourself in that position so many times consistently? So I feel like it has to be majority him not being able to communicate in a way, like whatever he's intending is not realizing. It's
maybe he's intending just to be, you know, some people think that attention is attention. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think that he is smarter than he's portraying. But it's hard to be like, to take a person seriously if they won't ever like break character. And maybe he breaks character with people off camera, but I don't know. It's just hard to believe that he wants to be viewed like that. So that's why I'll be like, did he really say that? But
that is interesting. That's the thing that keeps.
But yeah, I don't think
sometimes people are just disrespectful, and I don't want to
Mm-hmm.
believe that somebody is intending to be that disrespectful. But we got to call what it is, what it is.
Yeah.
And, and this is my major issue with him and Tequila. And I know I don't think they were acting in tandem or they came to do something, magnificent on TV. But I think that this is what they have in common. This whole quip or like this whole idea that like, well, I did that, but that's not me, because that's not true either. Now you've done it. And so that's the representation that we're holding of you. And it seems to be consistent. And I get that you don't understand why people are looking at it like that, but take a second and think about it. You did an action, and now people are calling you, like adjectives or words that indicate that you might repeat that action. So you don't identify with being disrespectful. When we talk about Habibi. Habibi doesn't identify with being disrespectful. So his go-to is, oh, well, if you took it disrespectfully, then I'm sorry for that. But that's not taking ownership of the idea that you put an action out there. And you can't go and do something and then say, well, that's not me, because now it is. You did that. I need you to like say it out loud and put your finger on it like we're in kindergarten. Read the word out loud, kids. Put your finger on it. You know what I'm saying? You did that. You were disrespectful. And so own up to that. Like whatever you said it. And that's the problem that I have with him. And I don't know if he's not grasping it, because it's so weird that it's like, if it's not intentional, like how are you pressing that button so accurately? Like you just keep doing the stuff that everybody finds disrespectful. You know what I mean? Like what? Like how's that happen? Like think about it. You know what I mean?
But it's almost as if he doesn't have any like emotion or empathy behind those things, right? And if you don't have that, you would really not care how a person takes something. Sorry your feelings are hurt, but you should just suck it up, buttercup. You know what I'm saying? Like it's people out there that don't have empathy for other people. And I don't know if that's him, but like how do you keep doing that? Well, that is how you keep doing that. When you don't acknowledge it, then you don't realize it's something you need to work on, then you're just going to keep on doing the same thing. So, and I mean, like, as far as Tequila, I do understand what you're saying. And, for her, I feel like she got caught up in the moments of multiple moments. Like she wasn't able to manage her own emotions so that she didn't let somebody else push her off her square. You know what I'm saying? That's what I would say about Tequila, because like I have definitely been there when I blew up on somebody or whatever, but you're right. You have to take accountability for it and realize that is a part of me. That is something that, I do, and then realize what triggers you so that you can manage that. Because I bet you a lot of other people on that cast are probably seasons and seasons have been pissed on the stage, but never have, reacted in those ways. So yeah, that's true. That's true.
You know what's funny? Now that you put it like that, I feel like perhaps there's there's the intention, and then there's something that takes over your, sort of like your attention, and that means that I could react.
It's like a feeling. It's like, okay, I'm cool right now. Everything's chill. You know what I'm saying? But like once something starts happening, it's like this rise of, okay, I know when it gets right here,
that's gonna be
I'm gone. Bad. And like when you do it, you already know I'm already over here. Nope, not coming back. I'm here. Like, let's go. You know what I'm saying? Like, you actually can feel yourself doing it. Yeah. But that should tell you that you have the power to control it. And even if that means removing yourself from them people, because you, right? Save those people.
Right, because that's the trigger. So you can recognize the trigger, and you can kind of be like, that's where it is. Right. But for me, I do think that, you know what, that's a great observation. That's a great observation. And it was educational, because now I know what to do. Now I know what to do. So thank you for that.
But you also have to realize that you are gonna have to realize that sometimes I can be a little ghetto. Sometimes I can be a little hood. Okay, and when you do it, you can't expect because you said it for people to accept it as right. Yeah. You just recognize the fact, and that should help you to not react like that.
Yeah,
But you know, a lot of people just be like, you know, once I realize, you know, okay, yeah, I blew up, and they still want to be mad at you for talking about the behavior that they displayed because it's something that does bother them. So anyway, that's another story. But you
no,
know,
that's a really good perspective. I'm so glad you gave that viewpoint because I wasn't thinking about it like that, and I was just thinking about, you know, doing something and not being accountable for it, but it's all in the way that you're experiencing it. You know what I'm saying? And I do have tolerance for that. Like we're all living our lives together in shared spaces. So it's like we have to get with it. Like, okay, people react differently. So you giving that viewpoint really puts some shit into perspective for myself because I know that I'm the actor of those sort of like traits. But then also it's interesting to look at it on a level where I'm expecting something from someone and then they're not delivering, and I can't just call it based on the way that they didn't meet my expectations. So I appreciate that viewpoint. That was really real. Because you know, here's the thing, and it even said it like from Shaba, they're wanting sincere apology, but I wasn't really sure if he was capable of that. And by the time he walked off stage and picked up his saxophone, I was like, why the hell does he have a prop?
Wait. That was the moment. That was the moment where I noticed the saxophone, but it was even weird how he walked off after her. When she said, I'm out of here, and he was like, I'm just going to walk off to Janelle. I apologize to her on stage. Like, you couldn't have thought that she was going to talk to you. That's what made me think that he just doesn't understand the empathy and emotional connection with his words, because he walked off to try to follow her, which no, but
he didn't get it.
And then Herbert went and calmed her down or whatever. But like, and then they go back to show him playing some notes on the saxophone. I was just like, what are you doing?
Oh my God, I have 4 thoughts right now. First of all, question mark. Why is Herbert back there? James brought up the idea, where is Quentin? Right? But Herbert was back there like a grown-ass man, protecting a black lady, wiping her tears. And in that moment, and I know she's not popular, this is going to be an unpopular opinion, but this really embodied what I've been talking about, what some of our people have been talking about it. I think you have said some things about it too, where this is what protection of a black woman looks like. It's like all these things that people let slide when it comes to black women, like, oh yeah, she's strong, she can take it. And like, this was the prime opportunity, because on stage, she's asking a very clear and concise question, and she goes backstage and she starts crying, and probably nobody out on that stage would have even known that she was back there crying, because it's embarrassing to start crying. You know what I'm saying? That's why she probably left, because she knew she had enough. But like, the fact that Herbert was back there and he was embracing her and he was wiping away her tears, it's like, this is the type of protection that is lacking. And so when you allow someone...
I will even say, on top of down to what he was saying to her, you're not crazy. You're not crazy. You know what I'm saying? Because
yes.
That's
like validation.
Crazy, because
validation.
Habibi sitting there saying the stuff that he's saying or whatever. But yeah, why didn't Quentin go back there?
And then the women, okay, this is what I have a problem with. The women who were still defending Habibi based on like the way he processes things, I think they were wrong, because they needed to check him about no matter what, you don't treat someone like this. And so that was wrong. No, I don't appreciate the way Tequila later said, I was back there getting makeup, so I didn't see it. You've heard behind the scenes what he said, and it's not okay. And that's the type of thing that's like, if you let that slide, oh, he cool with me. No, he's not cool with you, because he's capable of being very disrespectful whenever he wants to. And no one was checking him. That was my problem. And
I agree. Somebody should have said something or whatever to him, but that part where Tequila did not acknowledge his comments, and she said she was getting her makeup done, I thought that was wild too, because I was like, I feel like she should know, and why wouldn't she? Like, I don't know. But again, I don't know the time frame in which stuff happened on the show, but I thought that somebody said there was a conversation that they had about the comment, but I don't know if she ever heard the actual comment until they got into the women's lounge. So at any rate, she knew what he was accused of saying. But her saying that, oh no, I didn't hear it, kind of was like, Did you really hear it or did you really not hear it? Like, I don't know. I was like, okay.
She knew, and all up until this show, and granted, this was recorded before the interviews that we've seen after. But
it's pretty amazing.
These things are lining up in a way where it's telling a story of who people are. And in all the interviews I've seen, well, I've only seen 2 interviews, I think, of Tequila, and she has said that she doesn't know all the story and details behind what Shaba said, but they said it right there on stage. And he didn't deny it. Plus, he didn't deny it.
He did not deny it.
That would be the number one thing that would be, listen, before we get started with this interview, let me just address this and let you know that I did not say this. No, that was never said. So I think that he did say that.
Well, he did deny it. He at one point said, I didn't say that. And then, I kind of felt like when he was saying, that's not me, he was trying to say, I ain't say that. You know what I'm saying?
But I think he was trying to say that he didn't mean it disrespectfully, but you did it. And so this is the thing that's okay. We're not going to go back there.
Yeah, but when they finished playing the clip, his reaction to that was kind of like, he was like, "What's up?" or something like that, or like, "Let's go," or "What's good," or something to that effect. And I was just like, "Oh God, he's here with more shenanigans."
More shenanigans.
Shaba, aka Habibi, with the shenanigans. Andy said that the reunion air already. Yeah. The first part aired tonight, and so we're gonna see the second part next week, I guess. Hey, Dre Monster, I think Janelle Sierra turned on Jessica. Ooh, what? I didn't hear that.
I didn't know that either. Okay, we're gonna see.
I like their
trio.
I like their Mean Girls trio. Well, Janelle has some sweatshirts that say Mean Girls, and it's like 3 Black women on there, so support Black business.
Yeah, you know what? Shout out to Jessica. You said this earlier, but I just gotta say this because Jessica is probably one of the most impressive people to me. I feel like she kept her cool in times where she could have easily lost it, even though she probably wanted to say things. And sure, she probably said some sly things behind the scenes. I don't think that Chris went into that scene unprovoked. Like, sure, there were some things said, right? And she's a smart lady, but she got away with it, everybody, because we didn't see it on camera, and he acted a damn fool. And then there's another person in this cast who is saying, wait a minute, what you saw with your own ears and eyes, that's not real.
But hey, she got away with it, okay? If she didn't do anything, they don't have any proof.
Listen, everybody.
And I'm telling you, it was everything in the tone and stuff. That's funny. That's funny as on the what. Anyway,
getting away with it, everyone. That's how it goes.
I haven't heard that Janelle and Sierra turned on Jessica. I don't know about that. I did hear Janelle say that the people that she likes are Marie, Quentin, and Sierra. So she did not say Jessica's name when she said that. Think of it. So I don't know because I don't know either. Go and look.
Before we move on from Shaba, I think that him playing the saxophone must have happened. I have to think that scene or that clip that they had must have happened before or after the whole shenanigans with Janelle, because it would be so odd if in the middle of that he wants to play a soothing tune. Get out of here.
But that's the way they edited it to look. And then I noticed the music. I never noticed the music like that at the reunion. Like I noticed it, we talked about it in the shows, but I didn't never pay attention to if it happens in the reunion too. But they did have the little suspenseful music and a little music going on.
Look, I want to just talk.
Owen is funny.
The person who was responsible for turning that final footage in. You had one job. You had a choice to make. And I don't understand why you did that. I don't know if you're a man or a lady or non-binary. I don't know what's going on these days. But I'm telling you this. Why did you do that? Now you're choosing you chose violence. It's like we were watching something that was very disrespectful. She was running away from him. And she's screaming at people like, get him. This is what you're not doing. Get him.
Damn.
Like, him in my presence. And then they show him playing Kenny G.
Now think back to the incident with the Kia, right? Think back to the incident with the other Phil and Shiloh supposedly after outside of thing. But the point is production
has
a consistent track record of not listening to them,
Yeah.
well, we can't even count the Phil and Shiloh situation because that wasn't on camera,
Yeah, it wasn't even.
but they just don't. I guess they're not trying to hide that part or whatever. But yeah, she was literally screaming for them to get him, So I don't know, but like I said, a person like that,
I think out real clean. Then he goes over, proceeds after the commercial break, whatever, to tell Sierra that he wants to take a shower with her, and she was like, "Oh, I want to take a shower with you. Go ahead, have your shot." Da da da. That's aiming at your point.
That just show you how messy production is.
Production.
They all know that they're mic'd up, but they caught those things, and that's what they decided to play. And he just making himself look more and more like a creep. And they're not helping him or whatever. Miss Julie said she saw Jessica reach over to help Janelle calm down. I did see her do that too. That support was good to see. Yeah, so I saw that too. That's why I would be surprised if they fell out, but we'll see.
We will see. Okay, because I can't wait to see part 2. Now, listen. Then we go into Unique and Marvin. Unique looked like she was really into it. I do remember them having a conversation about like when they were at that picnic about maybe kids aren't in the plans for some people or whatever, like however she said it. Some people things aren't possible for, something like this. And Marvin is very adamant that he wants to have a son to carry on the family's name. Now, he then went on to talk. So first of all, Tommy got jokes because he brings out these daggone Tickler and Paddle, and I thought that was hilarious because he tried to say that like they found it in the green room or something, and Marvin was having so much fun and laughter because he was like, "Okay, I know what those things are," you know what I'm saying, but obviously they weren't his.
But did you see Unique want to touch them and play with them afterwards? Like production is so messy.
Unique was with
it, but I could see that during the season. Like it was something he had that like that vulnerability and submissive look, or not look, but she gave that. I feel like but he probably couldn't get past the kid part, and but the girlfriend he's with now, they look like they make a perfect couple. So. Maybe everything happens for a reason, but I knew Unique was the only one that was like, yeah, I'm interested.
Look, Unique, if you're gonna be real, Unique's still down. And this is my favorite part. When Tommy looks over at Unique and he says, "You went by the house?" And she's like, "Well, I'm not."
I did not hear that. I saw her reaction. That was what he asked. Oh yeah, I'm gonna answer that for her. Hell yeah, she went by the house.
Hell yeah, she went past the house. Hell yeah, she did. She had her good old time too. She was smirking and smiling. And here's the thing, Marvin is okay. So he was getting props for being honest, and I definitely gave him accolades for that too because he was even saying like, I want to just put myself out there, and if you don't like it, we can move along. Mm-hmm. And if you do, then there's a connection. But he also, even like opposite to kind of like how they played it, like they kind of played him like he didn't know what he wanted, like he was willing to do this or that, but he does know that he wants a son and that he has certain things about his lifestyle that he's going to keep. And I thought that was actually very different than what they kind of portrayed him to be, why he got voted off. So it was like, okay, like people were very like honest about like, that's a hard no for me, like, but Unique seemed to be interested. But then it was the thing that eventually ended them off camera was the idea that she wasn't going to be a part of him having a son. So it's really interesting how they played that. But that was my favorite part when he was like, did you go through? She said she liked the wax therapy. It was hot. And then she was, like you said, she was playing with them toys afterwards. But she also said that he didn't put it as a top priority. And he was honest about that. Because he said,
I thought she said he was in a relationship.
Yeah, I think that's what happened. Okay, look, you want me to tell you?
He is poly, though. He is poly. But which
I was not there, everyone. But when I tell it, you're going to think I was there. I be having so many jokes with James about like how I'll give some tea, but I don't really know because I wasn't there. But I'd be all up in the camera like, look, I was there. I'm going to tell you. Want to know what happened? I'm going to tell you it's about to go down. I'm going to tell you exactly what happened. But I don't know nothing, y'all. I'm just making So anyway, I think that Unique was out for the good time. I could see on her face that she had a good time with him. And she even said like, oh, why did it end? Why? But then she said, or, in sequence of the way that they aired it, she was like, he wasn't putting her as a top priority. What I imagine is that he met his girl that he has now while they were already sort of like hooking up. I think Unique was hitting that. I said it like that for a reason.
I will agree that her face did give that. If she didn't, sorry.
Sorry, everybody.
But it definitely her faces, and just her whole. She was definitely giving. Have sampled that, and I recommend. That's what she was.
Yes, absolutely. She was 5-starring it up. Okay.
Yeah.
And then she was like, well, I think at that point he probably met his girl, realized like, oh, this can be something. She's gonna give me what I want, so I just gotta dead this other thing because that's not gonna work out to be what I want anyway. But in the meantime, they hit it, and that's fine. But Unique still want to get it. I'm gonna tell you truth right now, and I don't even know that lady or that guy, but look, Unique was giving the vibes that she still want to get it from Mervin. Okay, you heard it here, folks. Hot off the presses. Now let's talk about Tequila. I realize that we're an hour in, everybody, but we about to be off in a second because this was like the end of this first part. Now Tequila and Habibi. Did I look like a librarian? Did I look like a librarian right there? Now,
yeah.
Tequila and Shabiba, have a lot in common, it seems, because they both don't understand sort of like some things about reading the room. Now, I have respect for Tequila much more than I have for Shaba. I don't think Shaba is presenting any real thing to us on camera. I have no reason to respect this man. Not one. Not one. And it's like, really, if you think about it, do you?
I respect the fact that he could play a saxophone.
Not the way they played that clip. It was like the least. I love soft jazz. I love.
He can play though. He can play.
Yeah, he can play, but I don't hear him play because he's so repulsive. I mean, the way he puts out there. This is the thing, and I'm not even anti him. I just want him to take some ownership. It's just this idea that like we're getting this regurgitated version of what he thinks is entertaining, and it's like, but it's disrespectful though. And he's like, but taste it, and it's like, but it stinks. You know, he's like, but smell it. It's like, I told you to keep that away from me. It's like he keeps serving it to us, and we're rejecting it. And
that was a perfect analogy.
You could come as yourself, and we'll probably welcome you. But like this whole facade is it's stinky.
That was the perfect analogy. Oh my God. Miss Gingy said, what was the way that Tequila was rocking side to side?
Okay.
With the way she was rocking side to side, because she was pissed. She was pissed. And listen, sometimes you could tell, like I remember back in the day, right? I could always tell when it was going to be a fight. Like when somebody was going to try to fight me. It's just this feeling that you get, this energy. Once you're in the same vicinity, you can just feel it. You know what I'm saying? And that whole rocking back and forth was just like, somebody shaking their leg and stuff like that. She was, it was bubbling over. Like, but who knows what happened before they all got together? There was a group chat also, so who knows what drama came up in there, like what people have said about people by the time they came back after just like 6 weeks to get together. Who knows how people came up in there? You know what I mean? I'm pretty sure a lot of them came up there like, oh, let's get this over with. But some people probably had harbored feelings about how stuff went down. Other people could have started dating after the show, and then something else. Who knows? But that energy that she came in there with, who you about to fight?
Here's the thing. She has said on these like sort of after the show interviews that that's not the type of person she is, that the show got the best of her as far as, in those moments. But what I realized, like when they were filming the reunion and they were showing those clips, she even said at one point, I stand on that. And they showed Shaba. It was weird about that is that I don't know if they showed it in the sequence, but he actually looked taken aback at one point, like, oh, you did that? But she was going so hard. Here's what the rocking back and forth said to me. And I mean, I'm no body language expert or anything like that, but I did serve for like 12 years of my life, and so I can read a person. I can tell if you want ice in your water. You know what I'm saying? I know a few things. And what that said to me is that she was very close to being at the end of her fuse. And it's not that she didn't have control of herself, but I think that was the last strain of control. It's like when you get to the rocking side to side, it means that you have so much energy going through your body that you have to try to regulate it. But that also means that you could be considered unstable, right? Because you're having to regulate the stability of your energy, and it's visible, right? So I'm not saying anybody who's rocking back side to side, you need to be careful, but it's like that's a visible indication that something is chemically or otherwise emotionally happening to you. You're experiencing something that we're witnessing visibly, right? Like we can tell that something's happening with you.
And it got to come out. It got to come out.
And I don't really know that that's something that she can't control, or that that's the comfortable level that she's willing to subscribe to. Like,
it all depends on what had her so pissed. Like I'm saying, like we see the show, but who knows what kind of communication is going on outside of that? Like, because whenever you get, unfortunately, this happens a lot in groups of women, right, that are doing something together. There's something that always happens between 2 or 3. You know what I mean? And then that goes and gets spread out.
Wow.
And then people make their judgments on what's going on there and stuff like that. It just happens, but it's all in how you handle it. A lot of people, especially as I get older, I notice a lot of people, including myself, just be like, well, what's out of my control is out of my control, but I'm not going to feed into it. But then you have people who are like, I'm always ready. You know what I'm saying? And if I pick up an inkling of you trying to, not acknowledge what I have to say, or not acknowledge what I have to feel, or what you did, or whatever whatever the thing is, they still going to try to bring it because that's what they know how to do. You know what I'm saying? But it happens all the time in groups of women, unfortunately. So like I'm saying, I don't know what could have made her be that pissed when she got to the reunion. And I watched her interviews, but I didn't see the answer to that specific question. But what I do want to know is, like, she was doing these interviews early, and it was like trying to get in front of what was going on. I wonder if she's going to do another interview, and maybe we'll get to know like what actually brought her to that. Like, this is the last straw. I'm about to just, what was it?
You know what's funny? I think that she was. Here's what might be scary to some of you white viewers. I think this was mild for her. I think it's possible that she's proud of how she handled this, and we're looking at it like, well, I can't speak.
I mean, yeah, we're looking at it like that because,
like, I can visibly see that you're bothered, right?
Okay,
that you did great, but that's a problem because now everybody sees how to bother you. And they can
but we still don't know. We still don't know what bothered her because we're looking at
her.
Huh?
I'm sorry. See, here I go with my story, and I wasn't there, but I'm gonna tell it like I was there. I think Janelle bothered her.
Well, okay, I can go with that too. But when she was on the stage at the reunion and she was pissed off, right? And when she said that, and I stand on it part or whatever, right? Whatever happened, whatever she perceived to be, thrown at her or whatever, we don't know. She was trying to explain something that she wasn't having. Like, y'all think y'all doing this, but no, y'all not doing this. Like, what is happening? Because we don't know. Like, that's the question I want to know. Because I mean, yeah, you could be, I don't really feel this person, but we gotta be on a team together and we gotta be around each other and work or whatever. But every time I'm around this person, something happens where we just, it just don't mix. At some point, you either got to decide to ignore it or somebody could decide to like push on it. But if in that process, if somebody feels like somebody's talking about them or saying this, or they maliciously did something, like that could be perceived by a person if you already don't like them. You know what I mean? So I said all that to say that it's a bunch of stuff that we don't see. And I want to know what was it that took her to that point of being like, you know what? Fuck the cameras. Fuck this, fuck that. And, but Janelle was almost there too because she stopped and visibly banged on the table. She shook the table. You know what I'm saying? But
then it does make me wonder how she got away with that. But then they got footage of Tequila jumping up. Okay, first, before we go into that, because I'm about to have in that particular moment, I want to think about what was happening to Quilla's mind. But before we go there, and this is the thing, because production is so mysterious, I don't know the sequence of things. But here's how it played out on my visible, like, audio situation, audio visual situation. Tequila was like here for it. I think she fell for the whole Shabiba doing the whole mind games thing. He makes weird sentences, and she was with it. She was like ready to. I think people put fill in blanks that weren't really filled in. Like they're just making things up for people. Then I think she looked a little weird when she was doing the rocking, but then I didn't like what she said to Phil about Phil and his whole bankruptcy situation. But I don't know what sequence it happened in, because it would make sense if she was already riled up to then be going at everybody. But it seemed like she went at Phil first, and then they ended on her and Janelle. But because I know the fuckery that this production team has created, I don't know the full fuckery, but I can imagine based on the nonsensical sequence.
Right, that joke could have happened like hours before.
Yeah,
who knows?
But they're telling a story, and then they're probably thinking they're doing a great job. Like, look, but it's like, no, we can see. It's like the Pepsi commercial. I love. Pepsi. You cut that shit up. We see you.
Oh my God.
Get out of there. We see you. You know what I'm saying? They're doing the most. Anyway, here's the thing that I did not like that Tequila did. I gotta just say it out loud, but not saying anything bad about her because I don't know her and I don't know what prompted this out of her. But she did not need to bring Phil's personal business out there. Man, everybody go through life and people got to do things. He actually had a really good reason, but even if he didn't have a really good reason, that's his business. We're not talking about nobody else's finances or children, even though that wasn't what they were talking about. I just think some things are just unnecessary. And like, she wanted to make this big statement about the fact that he, filed for bankruptcy, and she was talking about broke energy and all this. But I don't even really think they ever had a connection anyway. And I think she just wanted to out him and say something sort of like cheeky. That was a soundbite. And it didn't come off well because I just felt like that was a violation of privacy on some levels. Like, I don't care. I don't care that he went bankrupt. I don't care. But it's just really weird that you would bring that up about somebody. It's like somebody having something bad happen to them. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so what?
Well, I mean, yeah, because it sends the message that a person has to be perfect for you to pick them. You know what I'm saying? Like, anything can happen to anybody. Somebody might not have. Anyway, I'm not gonna get into that. Anything can happen to anybody. So yeah, I didn't think that was right, but she was already in the moment, so I can see how. Yeah, I want to know what sequence it happened into. Mm-hmm. Like, was it a build up from everything? She could have just came in like everybody can get it. What?
But so then we have to end where they ended too. Yeah, she did seem like she came in talking about everybody can get it, because here's what's weird. And again, we're going back to the production, the sequence of things, because it seemed like Janelle then jumped out there. And listen, I'm going to go on some other side after this, because Janelle is obviously throwing shots at people and doing certain things, and she has a way with her words. Mm-hmm. And I can understand how that can be, irritating to people. But somehow somebody in the production is either looking out for her, or she's smartly managed not to have many sound bites of her doing unpeculiar things. I feel like she is really good about like choosing her words. But here's what happened at the end. Tequila, the way they edited that looked maddening. She was sitting there shaking in her seat. I didn't know if she was gonna fall or what. And then Shaba was back there looking like Ike Turner. And then Jessica and Janelle were over there kind of laughing. And then, so Tequila looks like she's not stable emotionally, to be honest with you.
Okay, so I want to jump in here really quick.
I'm not saying on a regular basis, I'm saying in that moment. And so let me complete the sentence, because it's going to make sense. I'm not saying she's not emotionally stable. I'm saying in that moment, she looked like she was about to throw some fire. And then Tommy says, well, Janelle, what do you think? And then she was like, I don't have a problem. And he was like, well, it seems like she doesn't have a problem. What do you think? She's like, well, we don't have a problem. But it's just like, you look bothered. Then they go back and she's humming. And I don't know what the sequence was. That was a little odd to me. It's like, oh, yeah.
That was not odd at all. Okay, I'm not going to say it wasn't odd at all. I understood that because she was, it's like you said, she was at that point where she was about to be, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah, but that's the scary thing because it was like she was not, either she wasn't willing to acknowledge it or she, like, this is like out of control. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, are you out of control?
Yeah.
There you look like you were giving this energy, and now back here you're on the other side. Like, how did you get to singing? Right? Like, how did you get to, like, what? And it's just like, and that would make sense too. If I don't know. That might make sense as to why her and Habibi get along, because they can go from one side to the other real quick and be like, oh, okay, I see you. I would get that about the two of them together as not even necessarily partners. I don't think they were romantically connected, but I think it was like a mental thing where it's like, oh, I see you because I go back and forth like this too. You know what I'm saying? But you know, I don't know what happened in that moment, but it's just like they keep getting these clips of Sequilla being carried away. And it's like, because this is where we have to take accountability, because whatever we're doing is not like socially accepted because you're being carried away. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying anything wrong about her, but I'm just saying, like, we have to take ownership over this thing. And same thing with Habiba. Like, look, Habiba, if you're saying things and people are offended, don't be sorry that they're offended. Be sorry that you keep saying these things that somehow keep offending people. Like, maybe you should look at what you're saying and why you're saying that and what you're getting out of it. You know what I mean? So
he has to care first. So one of the things I was going to jump in and say is that, you know, they are filming for an extra long time or a reunion. And I could just imagine how they chopped and screwed what I want to know is the footage that they showed from the back. Were you showing footage in response to what we were seeing, or was it just some shit that you recorded throughout the 20 hours that they recorded that day and just chopped it up and just used it wherever? Like, we'll never know, you know. And so, you know, but I could also see how a person that doesn't know how to like control themselves emotionally, right? Because when you see somebody skipping and humming and they was just about to fight or they was just arguing with somebody, just know they're trying to calm themselves down. You know what I'm saying? Right. That's the only way that they know how, you know what I'm saying? But you know, it's like, I think that the long time they were there, who knows, like it was just bubbling and bubbling and bubbling up, you know what I mean? But
yo, that was interesting. I can't wait to see part 2. But you know, we had to give our full and honest opinion. I'm really looking into the businesses that people have and the websites that they have, and I think next week I'm gonna make sure that we like feature each of them, because this cast is doing some really good things, and I want to highlight that on the next episode or in the next, you know, of our shows. But I want to do that. I just feel like they really kind of the production piecemealed this together, and it's visible. Like, with, you know, the optics on this are really rude.
Yeah, I thought this reunion was a snooze fest in the beginning, but then I realized that they had to show the cast the clips because they hadn't seen anything. But I just want to say, look, you know, I enjoy reviewing shows, and Ready to Love is one of my favorite shows to review. And you know, but I do, you know, always have notes for production, because like people shouldn't be mad at the people talking about what we're seeing. Like, not to say that they can't be mad, because some people are just egregious with what they say, but there really should be some fingers pointed at production at some point, because if they're blatantly leaving out stories, they're blatantly, you know, just piecing stuff together that doesn't make sense. Like, they should be addressed. And for Janelle, I'll say that Janelle is good with her words. Janelle used to be in PR, so that makes complete sense that she knows how to think before she speaks and stuff like that. But yeah, you know, overall, I guess all the juicy stuff will be in the second part of the reunion, because we're gonna see Janelle and Sequilla go at it again We're gonna see Janelle and Quentin status. You know what I'm saying? They kept that. Somebody said somebody's lying. It's more of Janelle. So I don't even understand why Janelle does not want to do an interview. Janelle was the star of this season. Her name was every week. People want to talk about her and her antics and the things that she did. You know, I feel like she should do interviews. She said she's not gonna do none, but I feel like she should do interviews. But I feel like she might change her mind after she sees other people's interviews if they start saying stuff that she doesn't agree with that's true. You know, so we'll see what happens with that. But
I think that she understands marketing, and it's not wise for her to do an interview because listen, the truth of it all. Listen, let me tell you something, because I know everything, and if you want to know a little bit of everything, you come over here and you listen to me. Okay. Actually, that was a Bethany Frankel line. She said that a pool one time with the girls on vacation. But anyway, what I'm saying though is this: like we talked about earlier, how Jessica kind of like got away with it. Janelle, you did not get away with it. Like everybody's got your name in their mouth. Now, I think she's smart for not addressing it because it's gonna come out and that she is a real live dick. But I think that she's so careful, and whoever's editing this must have, they have her in their favor.
Oh my God.
She's obviously like there's so many people against her. Like she had to do something, guys. And I even from some of her live comments and from like one of the clips that they aired tonight that's going to play next week, it's like, she said, I'm going to mess this all the way up. But here's what I heard. I'm not saying this is what she said, but I heard something to the effect of, all of y'all are mad because I'm better than you. I'm better than you. And that can ruffle people's feathers. But okay.
I mean, but okay, you know, I always gotta play devil's advocate. Shouldn't you think that about yourself? You know what I'm saying? Maybe you don't have to come out and say it. Maybe you don't have to come out and say it. You know what I'm saying? Janelle is pretty. Listen, Janelle's pretty and she's doing her thing, right? But she does come off like that. So it's like, girl, you do have to acknowledge that. And she does. I guess she does, but like, a lot of people are not gonna like that. And she did say it too, like she doesn't get along with certain kind of women, you know what I mean? But
I just have to say, like, that's what it is. Like, you have some people, this is a great example. You have some people like Aries who will be like, oh, thank you for telling me I'm pretty, but she's pretty. And she could go around and being like, well, I know what I look like, so you need to bow down. Then you have somebody like Janelle who is really, come on, Janelle, you're a bit of a dick. I understand because I do that sometimes too. It's not because of my looks, it's because of like my humor and my wit, and I know I can get away with saying some things.
And you probably got a little bit of I don't really care about that.
Yeah, I'm living my life, but also it's like I can get away with saying things that people aren't even gonna know I said. It's just like I'm laughing already, and they're like, "Wait, does she really? What does that mean?" And it's like I'm over there like, you know what I mean? So I know she does a little bit of that, but it's like it exudes her. Like she doesn't have that much control of that, and that ruffles people's feathers. Yeah. Ironically, I said it like that, no pun intended. But like there was a comment made at the end of the episode where Tequila comes in there humming like everything's okay when really she's about to lose and haul off on somebody. And Janelle says something about a feather, and this is how it was presented. I don't know how it went down. And then Tequila wants to come with the heat, kind of like embracing and endorsing the violence. Like, come on with it then if you're going to be with it. But then Janelle is just going to manipulate that situation because she's so good at this now. Unlike Jessica, she didn't get away with it because everybody wants to call her out. But, you know, we got to admit she has a way with words, and she's bothering people.
She was, okay, so she does have a way with words. She was, I want to refrain from calling her something that I really want to say, but I'm not going to say it like that.
Okay, you can tell me later.
Yeah, I'll tell you later. But for now, I think you have a good word, like for real. Like she, you know, operates in the space of, you know, I think I'm like that, and you should too. And if you don't, or if I don't think you like that, I'll tell you. Like she didn't have any reason to say anything about the feathers because you knew who was wearing a feather dress. So it was kind of like you acknowledging her and talking to her and saying that was you bothering her, you know, really bothering her and knowing that you were bothering her.
Yeah.
So you're right. Like, you know, but that is her. That's her personality. I get it. You know what I'm saying? But like, girl, okay, okay.
Yeah.
But you're right. She might be saving herself and others by not. She said that too, by not doing interviews. But you're right. As far as like, if she's trying to be out here doing these businesses, she's about to be, you know, doing some coaching and stuff like that. She probably does need to stay off the interviews anyway and just move on, let the show pass, and then do her business. You know what I'm saying? Because it's not gonna get nothing but a bunch of back and forth because she can't. She does have her way with her words, but she can't control what she says. Or she can't control when she should say something because some of this stuff is unnecessary, right? It didn't need to be said. You didn't
Look,
have to.
I think she should go ahead and have her Mean Girls moment and sell as many of those T-shirts as she can before Tina Fey comes talking about that was her movie first. And she just needs to enjoy her life, but she needs to understand that she did not necessarily get away with it. And you can't talk to people like that. It's not going to be sustainable, right? But it was fun for the moment. But people are coming back to collect receipts. They're coming back. It seems like, you know, they played a lot of like rapid fire statements from people just trying to address her, the way that she talked to people and the way that, you know, and I think I think Jessica was kind of dragged into that a little bit. I don't know how you know, mean girl Jessica is, but I think her affiliation with Janelle sort of set some of the cast members on fire, and now it's sort of like a us against them type of union issue. But you know, Chanel needs to just, you know, sell her the rest of her T-shirts and
They're sweatshirts.
understand.
They're really cute though. They're really cute.
Oh, I'll bet they are, because she's great. She's a great designer. Her makeup always looks good. Got a shout out to that. I don't know if she's doing her own makeup or if she has her own makeup artist or someone who's doing that, but she didn't have none of the issues some of the other ladies be having where their face don't match their neck or they be looking orange with the foundation. Janelle's makeup always be on point. You know, so she's got that down. And I looked at some of her business stuff. Like, she has a really good home decor line. Like, that joint is bomb. And she obviously knows how to, she has an eye for design. What I'm saying though is that personality wise, people are calling you out, and it's not a thing now where you can be like, well, I don't know what they're talking about, because it's a bunch of them and they're all from different walks. It's men and women, so you got to take a look at that, right? Like,
because it don't have to be like I said. A lot of stuff that she said, it didn't have to be. It wasn't necessary. Sometimes it's like you bring this on yourself, and then you know, yeah, that it may be the person is you know, doesn't like you or whatever, but it could be due to how you're treating them as a person. So I feel like, you know, you know, I agree with you on the businesses and stuff like that. And, you know, you don't always have to have a good attitude to be a business person. So,
yeah. I'm sure it's probably beneficial to be more direct like that. But when in a social setting, right? Like, it's not like you're trying to be accepted, but you're trying to be respectful. In a social setting, you want to live and let live. I would think that is the, you know, sort of appeal to like being in a social setting, whether you're like at a concert or at a bar or you know, at a exhibit or just in a park or at wherever you are. You want to live and let live, and people can wear what they want to wear and be how they want to be, and everybody's having a good time. And if you're detracting from someone else's experience, then, you know, by law of nature, you're not going to sustain yourself, because you're sucking out, you're taking away from the atmosphere. So it's not going to give back to you because you've already taken too much. So I'm saying that,
okay,
look, okay, so
you know, I gotta come in with the other side real quick, because it just made me think of something. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're not there to make friends with the girls anyway.
Sure.
So, you know, we really, maybe that is how she acts in response to people trying to date the same people she's trying to date. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it may have nothing to do with how she really is. And this is a situation where, you in a prime situation for the hate right there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And if people would have gotten to know you in a different light, then the experience would have been different, you know? So maybe that.
Okay, here I go, knowing it all, everyone. But I would venture to say that because she seems so comfortable in the state of confusion like that, it's like she felt very comfortable clarifying things for people who didn't understand. And I feel like she has to look at possibility that she's found herself in that position more than once. And listen, I'm sure, maybe she hasn't, you know, experienced anything where she has like that's posed a problem for her. Like maybe it's fun for her to do that. What I'm saying is, in any environment, if you're taking the air out of positivity and things that you're not providing that back, if you find yourself in a situation where you're having to be on the defense in several circumstances, then it might be you. And I'm not saying
put it like this. That makes sense in a logical situation, right? But imagine you walked in a room before you and James got married, right? You walked in a room and it was like 3 other girls that was trying to holler at him. Would you feel any type of way to have to be nice to those people? And if the littlest thing they did got on your nerves and you was like, oh, I don't like that person. Like, would you really see yourself trying to be a humanitarian with those kind of people? Like, that's why I think it depends on the situation that you meet the person in, because in that situation, I can see her thinking, number one, everybody is beneath me. You know what I'm saying? I'm like that. Yeah. I'm the prize. All the dudes want me. I can see her already thinking that. So she's already thinking that, like, none of that, like, I'm not going to be even taking seriously anything that y'all have to say. It's all going to me,
it's rolling all off.
It's coming in as you're just a hater.
Yeah.
Because of the scenario, we're all dating the same people. Now, had she met these people and they were like, oh, we're a bunch of Black entrepreneurs and we're trying to become the next think tank or whatever, I bet you the experience would have been totally different. Like, even though she may still have those traits, because of how they started the situation, she might be more apt to put the respect in there versus, anyway, I'm off my soapbox.
But no, I get what you're saying, but it seems like there's not to say so many, but there's a few different people from different walks that didn't rock with her. Like, I could see, okay, Lee and her were after the same guy. I get that energy there. But then it was like Kat had a problem with her. Tequila had a problem with her. It didn't seem like Sierra had a problem with her. But, we're not counting Lee. Aries is kind of like Switzerland. But it seemed like even one or two of the guys were saying things about her. I don't know if it was Marvin or Chris that I felt like said something about Janelle's way of handling the other women. I'm not even counting Shaba.
I think it was Marvin that said something about that, but you also have to realize the influence. Like, see, the guys are going into this totally different than the girls, right? The girls are going in here, cut fucking throat. The guys are in there kind of like, I'm just trying to see what's going on. Like, they're not having the same issues, right? Like, they have other issues, but the view is totally different. So, like, yeah, I could totally see her thinking that all of the guys wanted her, and that only people that had problem with her were people that was mad at her for having the connections that she had.
I would like to hear, or not to make this a topic, but I would like to know. I really want to hear in the next episode from Brandon and what his experience was, and I want to know from some of the guys, what their experience was. I would like to hear from Tall Christopher. Was his name Christopher? I can't remember. I would like to hear what he thought about. I did see his interview with Crystal XO. But I would like to hear from him on this reunion, because I think Tommy asked some really key questions, and obviously he has privy to, like, probably certain footage and things like that. I thought Tommy, okay, so we didn't even talk about this, and we're going to end this, y'all, but I thought Tommy's presence on camera, the questions he asked, the way he pushed back, 10 out of 10. Tommy's a class
act. Nobody ever, not the class act part, but he usually doesn't hold them accountable like that. So I was
impressed.
He did that this time, but he needs to do it more. But it's funny that you said that, because that's usually
I was impressed. It was giving Andy Cohen, but I mean, not gay.
I wouldn't go that far.
It was giving like, I'm gonna hold you accountable, because how Andy Cohen be like, but did
he had to at that point. He had to at that point.
Yeah.
But everybody would have been still talking about it. I think they foresaw that good. Let me read this comment real quick. Dr. June Murray says, either this is a different group of producers, or they were directed to make some changes that we didn't appreciate. It was a poor season. It definitely was a poor season. Janelle's almost 42. I think she feels superior to most of the other younger women. I think that is a valid statement. I think that's a valid statement. Like I can see her just by her personality, from what I'm getting, that she could walk in a room and just be like, I'm the shit. And I mean, then on the flip side, like you should think you're the shit. But it's just what you say. It's just what you say and how you say it. You know what I mean?
Here's the thing. I gotta say this. I think that it's great to think that highly of yourself, but I don't think you should say it, right? Because if it's real, then everybody already knows it. You know what I mean? You don't have to say it then, too. It's just like, hey, everybody.
Yeah, but you don't learn that until, I don't know what makes you learn that. Like, the people who have certain things don't boast it, right? They don't talk about it and stuff like that. So it's like, but some people are like that. They're like living out loud, and I'm gonna say what I want to say, and I'm gonna say, and
sorry to you, sorry to this man. I mean, sorry to this woman or whatever. I don't have anything bad to say about her though, because she damn near got away with it. If it wasn't for you kids, that was the line from Scooby-Doo. Remember when we used to watch Scooby-Doo?
She is rude and arrogant.
Listen, you're not wrong. You're not wrong.
Yeah, she's not wrong.
I think she is rude and I think she is arrogant, but somehow she's like, somehow that's being aired. And what's interesting is that they're not airing the stuff that came before it. They're airing the stuff that happened after it, right? So it's like, I don't know if there's somebody on her side on production or something, but look.
Well, it was said that she was a favorite because, a lot of times the cast, or sometimes the cast has cast favorites, and you will see it in the way that they're edited. You might see it in the way that they're edited. You might see it in, some of the cast members saying that, this person was getting not special treatment, but like, a little bit of special treatment. Mm-hmm. So it's a possibility, you know what I mean? Because that was where that whole colorism thing came in, when people were saying that or whatever. So I don't know. Like I say, I think that, scenarios sometimes matter. Like some people have met me in a situation where had they met me on different terms, they might think differently of me. So, we got to keep that in mind, that these girls were not there to be friends. And if that's her attitude coming in, like she's a dick. She's a dick sometimes.
Yeah, listen, it's all right. I just want you to admit it, right? Like you're going to be a dick sometimes, and I can expect that, but say it out loud.
And like, I don't just being a bully. Yes. Exactly.
I don't want to be a part of this, and you're acting like, what happened? That's manipulative. Now we're getting into a different state of things, and so
that's gaslighting.
What I'm saying when I'm saying that she didn't get away with it the way Jessica did.
No,
we actually have seen no footage of Jessica being a bitch at all. We just heard things. We just heard somebody talking about it. So it's
the power of TV.
we have you, Janelle. We have you not only on camera on our television, but you just pulled up to a whole person's house. And so we know what you're doing. We know what you're capable of. So don't sit there and hide your hands and act like you're not, a little bit of a dick sometimes. You're a bit of a dick sometimes. Own up to it. You didn't get away with it, but I'm still going to buy a sweatshirt. And sell as many as you can before whatever production company comes after you, because that was a movie that was trademarked. But I'm going to buy a shirt.
I don't know if it says The Mean Girls, but it just has.
Oh, maybe it doesn't.
But look her thing up. But the last thing I'll say is when I did watch the IG thing last night, I also heard her and Sierra say that they need to end this contract so they can sign their other contract. And Sierra said she got opportunity for other shows. So like I said about the Ready to Love, make a move. They, who knows? I'm pretty sure the cast has ideas for shows. So who knows what else is going to come of it. So we probably will see them again because, Sierra's funny, and Janelle, her personality is just what's good for TV. So
Sierra is hilarious. I mean, even down to her reaction to her comments. Mm-hmm. It was like she was sitting there, she is a whole sitcom. Like she's a whole late night TV host. I love Sierra. But yeah, I'm on Janelle's website right now, and these are some really cute sweatshirts. So I'm definitely gonna buy a sweatshirt and probably something else, because this is designed very well. Very well. And she probably won't even get shut down.
See, the business didn't get in the way of the attitude, didn't get in the way of the business there. You know what I'm saying?
And it's so funny how it is what it is. She's probably not gonna get flagged for this because she's changed the acronym. So
Well, yeah, she be
so she's
designing
probably
stuff.
not going to get flagged or anything. What more would I expect from someone who's well thought through? She thinks through all of her statements. Like, this is one of the clearest communicators I've seen in action. It's like, wow, when she checked her BB, okay, first of all, I guarantee, okay, look, let me just say this. I gave it up to her for keeping her composure and then going backstage and losing it, because it's like you don't want somebody to win. You don't want them to see you ruffled. Like, you don't want them to see you upset or angry. And she did that. She went off stage, but I could tell this is the problem that I have with society, actually, is that, well, actually Herbert versus society, because Herbert went back there and at least made her feel seen and safe. And he said to her, like you said, you're not crazy. That was disrespectful. And then other people out there, and then the whole way on that you produced that and put that out there, it was triggering. I hate that word, but it's like, don't do it that way. Like, you got to pick a lane and a dress code, because if you're getting ready to be out here playing Shaba on the ones and twos with this damn prop saxophone, I'm like, what? He just looked like a whole clown.
It was a real saxophone. He played it, but yeah.
Why did they put that footage right there? Because it seemed like, oh, while she's backstage crying, we're being entertained.
We're enjoying some jazz.
Let's listen to Shaba.
Yeah, that made no sense.
It didn't feel good. It really felt worse than Love and Hip Hop. It felt
that part.
It felt
that part.
Where was
Quentin? Why wasn't he back there? There was no excuse. He could have, even if he was out there, he should have walked back there. If he was backstage, I don't know where he was at the time that happened, but why wasn't Quentin right there? That's what I want to know.
I don't know where he was, but Herbert, shout out to Herbert. Herbert did the right thing. He jumped into man mode and he embraced her and he wiped her tear away. And I even felt safe after he corrected that. I felt like, yeah, she's taken care of. Now, what the hell's going on stage? It's like, yeah, I did think that was something weird, because I was like, why are we letting this man play his tune when this lady's backstage going through it, and he was the cause of the disrespect and the issue? That was not.
I was just still shocked that he had his saxophone. Like, what is he doing with his instrument? Like,
it's a prop. It felt like a prop to me.
But like I said, he can play. But
sure,
nonetheless, it just was in poor taste. Okay, I think that they have so many hours. They have so many hours of footage, right, that they could use, but they had to get it down to this little 45 minutes that we need to see. But that's why I question everything. Were when you went backstage, what was did that actually go what we saw? Like, how can you be sure? We don't. We have no idea what we're looking at. So the only thing, like I said, is when they decide to do post interviews, those are where we get understanding of what happened that we didn't see. You know what I mean? But I still want to say too that Herbert stepped up and went back there. I don't know where Quentin was. Quentin should have been the one, since they actually, unless we're gonna find out that they didn't stay together. But she did say in her IG that she found what she was looking for, but that doesn't necessarily mean it is who she left with. She didn't say this part, but that doesn't mean it's who she left with, right? So we'll see what they say on that. And hey, Blondie. And so when she was on the IG, I thought it's strange, because while Quentin was up there on her IG last night, I did not get relationship vibes. I got good friend vibes, right? And here's the reason why I say that, because she was like, oh, you're up late. And he was like, oh, I'm packing for a wedding I got to go to tomorrow. Why don't you know that? Now, it could be that, okay, maybe he was talking to us, but she was the one that said it. So I was like, y'all together, then you would know that he was traveling for a wedding tomorrow, right?
Or whatever. But I do feel like either they're teasing something weird with the next episode. It doesn't seem like they're together.
Yeah, I think that's just real cool. You know what I'm saying? But I could be wrong. I don't know. I wasn't there, right? But we're just only going off of what we see. But the thing that I would have, why wasn't Quentin back there? Why is Herbert back there?
Weird.
Okay. But whatever. That's neither here nor there. I hope she changes her mind and does interviews. I'm looking forward to some other interviews. I don't know. Have you seen anything scheduled yet? I don't know. I know Kamisha's got some plans, but I don't know. I don't know who.
I haven't seen anything. I remember seeing a couple days ago that Sequilla was going to do a live, but I think that already happened with Crystal, like another live. I got to go back and look. I've just been so busy that I haven't been
doing it tonight.
It's
okay, a recap with her tonight.
I had a great time talking about this. I can't wait for part 2. I'm so grateful for you guys in the comments. Blondie said, I do like attention. I think she's talking about Shabiba. Was she?
Yeah. I'm gonna guess she was talking about Habibi. But yeah, thank you everybody for coming and riding along with us and watching this. We're gonna be back to talk about next week because all the juice is probably in part 2.
Yes.
And thank you to the new subscribers and people that have been watching. If you're not subscribed, definitely subscribe so that you can stay abreast on what we're talking about next. I do have another video. Those of you that are watching The Love Experiment on MTV, it's in the first season. It's on episode 6. That's also a good dating show. I have my latest recap coming up tomorrow for that. And T, this is TT right here. Watch, the camera's going to make it look like I pointed the other way. But my sister has Tea with TT, where she discusses topics about, trending topics, like you did the Derek Jackson thing. That Derek Jackson breakdown was really, really good. Okay. So if y'all haven't watched that, go over to D City Life Sisters and watch that.
Yeah, subscribe there too.
Yeah. So anyway, I said all that to say we have talked y'all ears off long enough. We're gonna see y'all in these YouTube streets. You got any last words, sis?
That's it. You said it all. I'm so grateful. I'm so glad, and I had so much fun hanging out with y'all tonight, and I can't wait till next week.
Yes, and shout out to you for the awesome recap, because I don't know where I'd be without you. I just like I like being able to be able to jump in when I need to, because you took
yes. I love that too. Look, these index cards. These are my friends.
Yes. Oh, and also I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, that's what I'm saying. I love it.
I keep cutting you off. And shout out to Aries, who came and blessed us with her presence in the chat in the beginning. I'm looking forward to seeing her post-season interview. Definitely go check out her YouTube channel. It's Black Girls. Bold Black Girls. I apologize. It's Bold Black Girls with an S. And so she is gonna start doing she said she's gonna start back up after all of the foolery is over with Ready to Love. So I'm definitely gonna be watching, because I'm pretty sure she's gonna have some great shows over there. So check her out. Shout out to everybody else that we talked about, tonight. Even though we're talking about it, it's all in jest, and for a learning lesson, because we can all relate to some of these people. It's not been a person on the show that I haven't been able to be like, I know somebody like that. And Faith has just put D City Life Sisters link in the chat. Subscribe to that channel if you're not already. That is where a lot of our
I put Bold Black Girls in there.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. I'll put hers in there.
She put Aries channel in there. Yeah, subscribe to Aries, y'all. Definitely subscribe to Aries. Anyway, I'm blabbering now. We're about to get out of here. I gotta eat. We'll holler at y'all next time. Like, share, and subscribe.